It's now been 1 year since the signing of the Iranian nuclear agreement, and once again, Israel and the United States are feuding over the accord. ILTV's Aaron Viner sat down with Iranian expert Dr. Eldad Pardo for his assessment of how the deal is going so far, and to find out if Iran is really abiding by its obligations under the treaty.
Well, so far, generally, when it comes to the core issue of the agreement, meaning enrichment, so far, so good. However, when it comes to ballistic missiles, purchasing technology for military nuclear research, involvement in terrorism, and worst of all, education and preparing the nation for what will come after the agreement, the situation is bad, even I would say horrible.
Ayatollah Khamenei complained bitterly just days ago that the United States is not upholding its end of the nuclear pact. Is there any truth to these allegations?
Well, there is a truth to it, because the United States is still concerned about a great many issues that are not directly related to the agreement. The Iranians insisted that the agreement will be only about the nuclear issues, and the Americans wanted to make things smooth, so they agreed as well. So the issue is that Iran remains a rogue state. In the United States, nobody knows how things will transpire. You know, we have elections and all of that. The Europeans are worried, and on top of that, there are many, many issues within Iran. The economy is rigid, they execute opposition people, there is a lot of corruption, there are wars, the situation is not good. So people around the world, the money that was supposed to pour in and ignite, upstart the Iranian economy, that doesn't arrive. And the Iranians are worried, and of course they would blame others rather than themselves.
What do you know about the case of the Iranian nuclear scientist? They just broke news just a few days ago that he was executed in Iran after having returned. Now, this is the guy who went missing in 2009. He said he was on a Hajj to Saudi Arabia. Then he turned up in Washington and made a lot of what some people thought were kind of bizarre allegations, but he had a very serious nuclear background.
Well, what we can say is that there is a lot of opposition inside Iran to the regime. And we know that there were a number of operations that were extremely successful against Iran in recent years. This means that there is a network of sources inside Iran, and Iran is more transparent than some people tend to think. So I would say, in all likelihood, this story is related to either this guy's involvement with some kind of a spy operation, or at least the Iranians believe he's involved in that, or he's just a liberal person who would like to see a normal country, a normal democracy in Iran.
What is your reaction to one of the latest political scandals now in the United States, that the Obama administration paid $400 million to ransom some of the U.S. citizens that were being held captive by Iran at the time that the nuclear agreement was being signed?
Well, the problem with American policy goes back to the Vietnam syndrome, and the fact that at least some of the American leadership is just not ready to fight. I mean, I can give you just one example. The Iraq, after 8 years of war, the United States won the war in Iraq, and they created a functioning democracy, more or less. And then when Obama came, they just left and gave Iraq to the Iranians, and now you have ISIS, and you have civil war, and people kill each other, and all of that. So the United States must understand that if they are not involved with a measured force around the world, there will be chaos. If there is chaos and you have American hostages, so you better pay the ransom, as Jewish communities would do throughout history. But the Jewish communities were not a superpower. The United States is a superpower. So either it behaves as a superpower and then it doesn't need to pay ransom, or it behaves like a small persecuted community, then it has to pay ransom. What counts is to save lives. The best way for a superpower is to use its power in a measured way. But they don't do it, so at least it's good that they saved some people.